What is up, YouTube? James MTG Biggie here, and I wanted to do a quick, not full-on deck tech, but a quick summary of my deck from the team tournament I just played in and coincidentally won. And obviously it's Death and Taxes. That's what I'm going to play in every format that I'm able to, I guess. But real quickly, the lands, 10 basic planes, 4 Ghost Quarter, 4 Tech Edge, 3 Horizon Canopy, and this is a concession to the fact that I only have access to 3 Horizon Canopies. My buddy Sean lent me these a long while ago for Green-White Tron, and we just don't have 4 between us. So the 4th one is actually the 10th Plains. And then the Aganjo, or however it's pronounced, Castle, and Cavern of Souls. Cavern of Souls was pretty bad this week, and it's because I didn't run into any control decks, and I don't feel like they're out there that much in that high of numbers. I don't know. In my meta, nobody's playing like Jeskai or Blue-White or anything like that. Everybody's kind of conceding to the fact that Grixis is a known player, and I think control decks are kind of just badly positioned. So this could have very easily been like another utility land that produces white. There's one game where it came up where my opening hand was a Cavern and a Ghost Quarter, and I had Path to Exile in hand, so it felt real awkward. And if it was just a Plains, it would have been better off. But like Flagstones of Trocare or something like that, it could have easily been. Then we got Aether Vials, of course, you need 4 of them. No excuses or no questions asked. Withered Wayfarer, I only activated it once, and I kind of punted when I did because I had Leonin Arbiter in play. So it's kind of funny. I still won the game. It didn't cost me a ton, but a little bit of embarrassment that I don't know my own deck. But to be fair, this was literally the first tournament I've played with it, other than testing online a little bit. Thraben Inspector was great. Path to Exile, obviously great. Thalia, great. All the mainstay staples, obviously your Flicker Wisp and Blade Splicers, both amazing. Flicker Wisp, probably the best card on the of the tournament for me. And then Restos and stuff like that. 4 of Restos were great. Mirror Crusaders were decent. I didn't play against any Jund or Grixis decks or anything like that. I didn't see Death Shadow once, so it wasn't at its peak. Serra Avenger was actually pretty solid. Phyrexian Revoker was decent. I played it against Lantern Control and Affinity. I got to name, I want to say, Arcbound and I think Lantern of Insight in those games respectively. The awkward part about my deck is 3 of Leonin Arbiter. The store that sponsored us, E&D Games, Port Richey, Florida, very awesome. Helped me out with lending me a lot of these cards. They didn't have a Leonin Arbiter, the 4th one I needed. The store that hosted did not have a Leonin Arbiter. It feels like everybody rushed out and bought up all the Leonin Arbiters in my local area. Ironically, I didn't play in the mirror match at all, but Leonin Arbiters just weren't around. So I only had 3 of, I think 4 of would have been better, but the replacement card I have for it is this guy, Brimaz. Mostly because I like the card a lot, and it happened to be in my binder at the time of the tournament, so I had one with me. And it was good. In my match against Burn, Brimaz held it down against a couple of Goblin Guides and an Eidolon of the Great Revel. I got to Violet in and block and eat a Goblin Guide with it, and then it just held the ground down while I was able to pluck away with a Serra Avenger. So, very, very, very good in that match, and I think this could be the mirror breaker, because I don't think this deck can attack through a Brimaz. It just is impossible. It holds down the ground against the whole deck except for Mirror Crusader. And it even does not beat, but stop a Mirror Crusader. I mean, obviously you're not fighting the flyers, but to hold back a Blade Splicer token or an Arbiter of Thalia, your 1-drops, I think it's good. Outside of that spicy technology, sideboard plan was pretty standard. We were on the 3rd Mirror Crusader, because I expected more Death Shadow and stuff like that. It did get brought in matches where I just had to shave paths and Aether Vials. Like against Lantern Control, I just had a lot of cards to cut. So I boarded that guy in a couple times. Grafdigger's Cage never came up. I didn't see Dredge all weekend or anything like that. Or even, like, I didn't play against a single Snapcaster deck. Stony Silences, 3 of, were great. I played against Lantern Control and boarded these in. And they weren't incredibly relevant, but had we had more time on the clock, perhaps these helped me finish the game out. We ended up in a draw, that matchup. Then 4 Relics of Progenitus. I didn't play against a lot of graveyard games. I did board these in against Lantern to stop them from recurring their Lanterns and stuff like that. It was a little, not embarrassing, but awkward to bring these in with Stony Silences. But I had a lot of cards to shave, so I shaved 4 Aether Vials, 4 Paths, to bring in 3 Stonies, the Mirren Crusader, and 2 of Relics. And then I also boarded in 1 of Dusk Till Dawn against Lantern. Kind of loose. Dusk obviously does nothing in that matchup, but I think Dawn could have maybe done something. It didn't come up though, so I'll never know. And then Sunlance over Silence. I think Sunlance was decent. I boarded it in against Affinity and I think against Burn. And I don't think I ever drew it, but it would have been good in situations. There was a second Dusk Till Dawn, didn't come up that often. I did board it in against Eldrazi-tron, but I never drew it in those matchups. And then my favorite card in my sideboard for the weekend was Burnt Forge Tinder. This dude held it down against Burn. I kept a 5-lander in my 3rd game against Burn, and one of the cards was Burnt Forge Tinder, the other one, I believe, a Leonin Arbiter, and my opponent stumbled a little bit on lands, so he had the turn 1 Goblin Guide, and, well, I had turn 1 Forge Tinder, I had turn 1 Goblin Guide, and he swung into me and gave me a free land, and I blocked it, and held it down for a while. He stumbled on lands too, so it was unfortunate for him, but this guy plus Brimaz got there that game, and I think won me a tough matchup against Burn. I also boarded this in, awkwardly enough, against Affinity, which I don't think it's incredible in that matchup. I mean, obviously it fades Galvanic Blast, which is sort of relevant, but I brought it in because I was bringing in 3 Stony Silences and boarding out my Aether Vials, so I felt like Thraben Inspector was worse because you can't crack clues with Stony Silence in play. So I thought having this as a 1-drop that actually does stop Galvanic Blast was relevant, and it actually was decent in the games. So I really enjoyed playing this dude in the tournament. But that's it. I went 4-0-1. I beat Eldrazi-tron, Valakut, Affinity, Burn, and I took a draw with Lantern Control. It was a blast of a tournament. I recommend it. That is the deck, though. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I appreciate everybody if you guys checked out the vlog of the tournament. If you haven't yet, I'll link it down here somewhere. And then there will be a link up here you can click on my face and subscribe to see some more videos. Check out that tournament report. Other actually more in-depth deck techs than this one. And just all sorts of Magic content. But that's all I got. I appreciate it very much, guys, and I will talk to you all again soon.